Alrighty, so by popular demand today on min-maxing for fun and profit. Oh, by the way, hi, my name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel today, the Technomancer. Yeah. Y'all asked for the caster. Of course you asked for the caster. Why wouldn't you ask for the caster? And I'm very excited to bring you our first Starfinder build here on the channel, optimizing around it. If you're liking what you're seeing, remember to like, subscribe, ding the bell. Remember that a Google Sheet waits, among many other rewards, if you support us on Patreon. We have some spots open, both for Fly for Your Die and Attack of the Swarm right now, if also you want to get down and find some stars with us. But for now, let's dive in. Okay, so within the bounds of Starfinder, the Technomancer functions more or less the same as the Wizard of Pathfinder did, but with some key difference. Really, that's one of the things I like the most about this system. It feels very, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Very similar yet distinct, right? So far as their spellcasting goes, much like all the other spellcasting classes in Starfinder, they cast more like a magus. Cantrip up to level 6 spells, a smaller number of spells per day, but they land at a 3/4 BAB. They of course receive something kind of sort of like a spellbook in the form of this time a spell cache, which is very flavor to taste, and functions indeed as an arcane bond. One, activate the cache to cast any one spell you know and are capable of casting, and they cast, much like a sorcerer, knowing a very specific amount of spells. They get buffs to computers and mysticism that increase as they level, and eventually with cache capacitor, as part of prepping spells each day, they can cast a single spell into their spell cache and have it continuously affect them for 24 hours. It can hold detect radiation, disguise self, keen senses, or unseen servant. You expend the spell slot normally and have to know the spell, and what spell you can put in goes up as you level. Dark vision, lesser resistant armor, life bubble, or spider climb at 12th, and then at 18th, arcane sight, flight, see invisibility, or tongues. They of course, much like every other class, get weapon specialization at 3rd level with all the weapons they're proficient with, which means you just flat add your level to damage with that type of weapon, or half your character level if it's a small armor operative melee weapon. This of course allows us to be much better at existing in combat when the spells run out, which I think is really cool. They also get magic hacks, Magus Arcana, which allow you to further customize your build to flavor to taste. Now, there are two very distinct ways to build a Technomancer right now in Starfinder, one of which is your think like a magus, and truly there are some low-level Technomancer spells that let you add just way too many d6 to an attack roll. At low level play, they're essentially tactical nukes on the end of like a laser pistol, which is of course quite terrifying. The other way one builds a Technomancer is the way we're building around. That is to say, your standard issue control wizard. For today's race, we will be building of all the things we could build. One of the core races, it's a Vesk. We'll use the alternate ability adjustment low gravity for a buff to dex and int with a -2 to strength. We will also take the forceful mind alternate racial trait, replacing our natural weapons with, listen to this, once per day when an opponent succeeds at a save against the spell cast by a Vesk with this trait, the Vesk can force the opponent to reroll the save at a -2, every control wizard's best friend. Oh, crucial saver suck, you passed it, and try again. I chose mercenary for our theme, partially because we are going to want a little bit of strength as we level up. The free success on 8 and others at 12, and the resolve points back after long combats just seem really cool to me. And again, it helps us pad out an ability score that we'll want to start our ability scores today with a strength of 12, dex of 12, con of 10, int of 18, and a wisdom and charisma at 10. For our feats, of course, improved initiative, because as a control wizard, we definitely want to go first and make sure the battlefield is prepped before anyone else has a chance to do anything. At level 3, we'll take spell focus, because it buffs every spell, not spells by school anymore. And it scales. Look at that. That's dope as hell. Mobility at 5th did the same thing it did before, a +4 bonus to your armor class against add-ops that you provoke by leaving a threat in space, because the last thing we want to do is get caught with our pants down, you understand. At level 7, adaptive casting, we'll choose 3 spells from class spell lists we can cast from, or Technomancer because we're not multi-classing. They must be at least 1 level lower than the highest spell level you can cast. Once per day you can cast one of these as a spell-like ability. Each time you gain a caster level, you can change which 3 spells you have selected with this feat, aka extra spell slots. Easy peasy. Weapon focus small arms is next, though certainly we've got a lot of spells at this point. Again, you're probably spending some time shooting at someone, so no reason to be a little better at that. Then next, agile casting once we do eventually get our decks over the 15 threshold. As a full action, you can move up to your speed and cast a single spell with a casting time of 1 standard action or less at any point during your movement. If you have a supernatural ability that can be activated as a standard action, you can instead do that. It's spring attack for spell casting. Normally you can't split your movement like that. This seems very helpful. Especially by now, we're assuming a lot of the combats and things take place in 3 dimensions. Having the proverbial shot on the run keeps you away from the bad thing while still doing what you want to do. That's to say, being the bad thing. We'll take Great Fortitude next, just to make sure we're not dying to bad saves. And because really the Great Fort, Lightning, Reflex, Iron Will feats in Starfinder are still pretty damn playable. Then at 15th, because why not, we have buffed our charisma this whole time. Ability score increases kind of work like they did in 2nd edition. Improved Demoralize lets you demoralize as a move action or debuff their will save as a move action before hitting them with that crucial pass this save or you're out of the combat kind of spell. Adaptive Upgrade will allow us to really do what it says it will do. Make our upgrades a little more adaptable. Select 3 armor upgrades, each an item level no greater than half your ranks in engineering. If these upgrades require any choices to be made, you must make those choices when you select this feat. With 8 hours of work, you can adapt any armor upgrade of an item level equal to at least half your ranks in engineering, allowing it to function as one of these 3 things. It'll only function when it's installed in your armor, and it takes a move action to activate this upgrade, after which it'll function as both what it is normally and what you designate for a minute. You have to provide charges and ammo and things as normal. You can add batteries and ammo to the upgrade as part of the process. You can only have 1 upgrade adapted to be usable with this feat at a time. If you adapt a new upgrade, the old one is lost. And once you've used this, you can't use it again until after a 10-minute rest, regaining stamina points. Each time you gain another rank in engineering, you can move around these upgrades to suit. But again, versatility just seems super good, especially in a campaign where you're going to random planets where the terrain might be different, where you might be fighting different enemy types, where you might need a different kind of resistance, without having to burn spell slots to do the same thing. Then lastly, improved Great Fortitude. You can spend a resolve point, reroll a failed fort save, because if you've made it this far, hey, why not? Last thing you want to do is get hit by a really crucial save or die at the end of the game. We want you to live, friend. For our magical hacks, first things first, Energize Spell. This will allow us to, once per day, as a move action, use a battery or weapon's power cell to power your spell casting, enabling you to cast 1 spell you know without using a spell slot. This burns 20 charges per spell level from that battery or power cell, which by and large will drain the thing, and requires you to touch whatever it is you're draining. You have to cast that spell before the start of your next turn or you waste the charge. However, eventually it becomes very easy to charge batteries essentially as soon as you get your ship, and most Starfinder APs, at least the ones I've GM'd so far, will hand those to you pretty fast. So this seems like a no-brainer to me. Next up, Robot Influence lets you affect robots, constructs, and other creatures that have the technological subtype with mind-affecting spells, even if they're mindless or normally immune. Of course, they get a +2 to their saves. Right into Brain Hacker for us. The next thing we'll be taking. This will allow us, for the purposes of determining the effects of Technomancer spells, to treat all living creatures with an int of 12 or higher as if they were both their original type and subtype, and constructs with the technological subtype, whichever is more beneficial. This will allow us to use Mending, a cantrip for us, to, albeit at 1d4 points at a time, once per day, repair damage not just to our gear, but to our friends, as well as other shenanigans. It sort of depends on what you are trying to get up to and what the world is throwing at you. Burning a 2nd level spell slot for Make Whole puts things back 5d6 points at a time. Next, Cash Concentration. Whenever you cast a spell with a duration of concentration, you can burn 1 resolve point to automate that concentration process by transforming the necessary concentration bits and bobs into a program loop your spell cache maintains for you. If the spell has a max duration, your spell cache maintains the spell for the max duration during which you can act normally. Otherwise, the spell runs until you interrupt the loop at no action. In Starfinder, concentrating to maintain an effect is a standard action, so freeing up your action economy for spells that require concentration. This will obviously get better the more spells are released, but is particularly good for folks like illusionists, to say nothing of something like telekinesis. Good lord, that's terrifying. We'll take Mental Mark next. Whenever an enemy fails a will save against one of your spells, it takes a -2 to saves and AC for a round. If it passes its save, it takes a -1 to things for a round. This seems real good. Even if they're passing saves, they're debuffed against, like, the soldier jamming a Doshko into their neck, or the other caster trying to further debuff, right? Easy peasy. Lastly, extended runtime. Whenever you cast a spell with a duration of 10 minutes a day or longer and target only yourself, you can either spend 1 resolve point or cast that spell using a higher spell slot to increase the duration to 24 hours. Synergizes real nice with Cash Capacitor and keeps all of your things like your junk armor, your mirror image, things like that, a longer duration so you don't have to worry about burning actions in combat to cast them. Now, y'all will notice I didn't take anything like Quicken Spell. That costs resolve points, which we use to stay up, and so I'm very afraid to spend those, typically speaking. And also, given the way the action economy works now, given that marshals are only ever getting a couple attacks, I feel like the need to outrun them with constantly quicken this, quicken that is not as painful, especially when we can move and cast at the same time. That just seems like more bang for our buck. Anywho, let's do some items, shall we? First things first, easy peasy spell gems. Holding onto one of these lets you cast a spell without burning a spell slot. Buying a bunch of these as single-use expendable spells seems real good. As well as a digital hero deck, which can do augury things, but more importantly for us, a Technomancer can designate a digital hero deck as their spell cache. If we do, the deck's AI integrates with their own consciousness, which provides a +1 untyped bonus to caster level checks for divination spells and effects. Kinda cool, but not as clutch as spending 1 resolve point as a swift action, whilst casting a Technomancer spell to draw upon the deck's algorithm, and add a +1 insight bonus to the spell's save DC. Getting armor made out of Gisette will add a further +1 caster level to our armor for determining range and duration of spells, as well as caster level checks. Certainly seems very useful in the early mid-game when that +1 means just so much, as well as chugging down a Gisette draught for an hour after you chug back 450 credits of magical star metal juice, which I'm sure is just fine long term. The saving throws and DCs of your magic spells and supernaturals goes up by 1. See where we're going with this? Well, in case you don't, let me spell it out for you even more. Let's talk some spells. A lot of these will sound familiar if you have played Pathfinder. They were staples there. They are staples here. Grease, as a level 1 spell, creates a solid layer, indeed, of slippery grease. Any creature in the area when the spell is cast must reflex save or fall prone. Walking through it takes a DC 10 acrobatics check. Failure means the creature can't move and then must save or fall. Failure by 5 or more means they eat it. Greasing items means a lot of times they will be dropped. It's very fun to grease the boss's weapon. And greasing armor and clothing ups your acrobatics checks to wiggle out of a grapple and AC against grapple combat maneuvers as well. Incompetence will cause things to lose proficiency with one class of weapon of their choice, usually the one they're holding. So essentially, save or -4 on things, which is gross. At level 2, a spell unique to Starfinder, Laser Net, one I've seen used to pretty darn good effect at my tables. It creates literally a net of dangerous lasers, gee, who saw that coming, between 2 solid points. The net can appear only if there are appropriate anchoring surfaces at both ends. Creatures that move through the net must reflex save or take 1d6 +1 fire damage per 5 feet of net they move through. Creatures that move no more than 5 feet receive a +2 circumstance to the save, but creatures that move more than 15 take a -2. It's a very good, like, baby wall of fire. And that's exactly what the Control Wizard wants, making parts of the battlefield more hostile than the others. If they move through, it hurts them. If they don't, it probably causes them to burn a lot more of their turn running around, which prevents the monster from attacking more than once, which is dope. Farther up the Control by Pain route, Etheric Shards at level 3 for us hardens ethereal matter into interplanar blades that are invisible to those who cannot see the ethereal plane. Movement through them is halved, even for ghosts and things, and creatures entering a 5-foot cube filled with etheric shards take a d8 of slashing damage and reflex or get bleeding 1, which stacks with itself, as well as other sources of bleeding, which goes up even more for every 5-foot cube the bad guy tries to move through. If you just don't move and stay caught in the trap, you take no damage, but you're flat-footed unless you move enough to defend yourself, which then forces you to take damage and attempt to save. This can be detected as a magical trap. I bet a lot of creatures won't think to do that though, and they'll just get cut up a lot. It's real gross. Spell exists in Pathfinder too. It's mean. Speaking of spells that existed in Pathfinder, Hover Disc, don't call it Floating Disc, creates a thin circular plane of force 3 feet in diameter, hovers 3 feet off the ground, right? Sounds super familiar. However, in Starfinder, this staple has received significant change. When you cast the spell, you can give the disc general instructions. You can tell the disc to go anywhere you're familiar with, and it will follow the instructions without error, even traveling beyond the spell's range. If the disc gets no instructions, it follows 5 feet behind you and can carry up to 20 bulk per caster level. It has a fly speed of 60, which is very fast, and can move at the command of a creature you designate, which is done as a move action. It also can raise and lower itself on similar commands, so it's very easy to climb up the thing, literally as part of a move action. So, like, theoretically, you've got a wounded person, you need to get back somewhere to get healed, you give them control of the disc in case they run into, like, a psychic tyrannosaur. Give them enough credits to get patched up, maybe even the stuff to sell, why not? Quality of life. In Starfinder, slow wins the haste or slow, which is better argument, pretty easy, and everybody who casts spells right now can get it, that's dope. A creature that's hit by slow moves at half normal speed, and cannot full attack as is staggered. Also can't move and attack. It's very good in a universe where like everyone has a firearm, laser or otherwise, to just keep strafing and the thing never catches up to you. As well as a myriad other spells that have been great since 3.5 moving forward. Your wall of whatever, your magic missile, your junk not mage armor, mirror image, displacement. The spells have been good for a reason and they still exist. I guess one real quick, supercharged weapon. For a standard action, tag the soldier's weapon. It does an additional 4d6 damage if the next attack hits, or if it's something that hits creatures in an area, like a grenade or a flame rifle. An additional 2d6 at level 1. That's so much. So really, truly, as versatile as they used to be, with stuff added on that's scary. It's like the Magus and the Sorcerer had a weird baby, and that baby was also good at computers. But that's all the time I have for this one. What do y'all think? Have we rolled up Technomancers? Are you liking them? Are you liking Starfinder? Let me know in the comments. Next week, I definitely will be doing some 2E videos. I know, I just took a self-care break from min-maxing for fun and profit. You're right. You're totally right. But also next Saturday is my birthday and I'd rather not work on it. So I think we might just do a couple of shorter videos this coming week to make sure we can get that sweet content out. But till then, thank you guys so much for watching as always. We'll see you next time.